making history at the ECC. And there it is! Both platforms online, and Dick will take it home.
What a game.
Take a victory lap, take a bow, and take the headsets off and start to yell.
Cycling through, back to Blizzaga. Oh, pulled the counter twice out, but not gonna find it, and run off Shadow Ball will do the tricks at 0. Is all of a sudden up to 78%, make it 90. Another roller doesn't find the mark this time, but his dash attack and forward tilt will only find shield.
Ooh, and now that might just be game. No strong hit, but pop him off the top with the sneakers.
Luddite very aware, I think, of what X-Wing wants to do. Is that's going to be no tech in that situation, and that means that stock is gone. Great, another string of back airs, and that one will be shut down. They will be able to get back to the ledge, but that's going to be another mistake. The jump, the up B, and it's not enough. Rinse, repeat from the second.
It looks like we have, was that a kill, a disconnect? Whatever's happening here. Han Solo Burger is just tearing right through them. 3 kill, oh my goodness. They still have so much left to work through. A nice weapon upgrade here. Raze is gonna throw it right back into their face. Look how far Kira's pushed up. Oh, they'd be able to, whoa. Joe! This is just what we needed to see from Brooklyn.
But I was going to say, Handy Crackers in the offensive attack, he had such a good size up on that one, but got denied by the defense of Merrimack.
I mean, this is a player that's been peak at 2,200.
You know, someone keeps on stealing it, just doing hot laps at this point in time. But regardless of the fact, 15 seconds left here in game number 2. Breakaway chance right here for Bagels. He's going to put this one in.
Hammy Cracker's going up high in the sky, gets the flip reset. Looks like a musty there from the sky. Losan going for a double. This is their GC1. Looked like he had a triple tap.
So much more aggressive on the offensive end. When you have an offensive push like that, you cannot afford to just leave somebody just wide open. Two back-to-back misses.
On their feet, sound barrier in play. They want to push on up. But this is just the moment that Kane was waiting for. More specifically, Leon. That's the rampage, or excuse me, that's the Annihilation. Nobody in the way to stop this one. That's both supports and still hunting for more. Pushing towards the spawns, couple of meters. Ohio Northern scrambling out to get a last-second touch. I'm sure this is a nice, clean fight that they have the potential of winning. That's 1, 2, 3 ultimates. Now popped on in. Wonderful Suzu keeping Loath alive. And Ohio Northern managed to wipe Kane once again. This thrown on out, last-ditch effort. These must land into somebody to his both supports. Though when we thought Ohio Northern, they're not done digging, they have struck gold. That is both supports out of the picture. Millions returning on their signature Doomfist. It's another brawl towards the end. At the end of the day, though, Ohio Northern, their spawns are closer, and they have managed to push them off of the pale jag. We are not done just yet. Ohio Northern are pushing the series to a map 5. This very well could be the last fight to stop this momentum that has been pushing them back. We want to drown the hopes of Ohio Northern here and now to shut it all down. The Matrix, one last attempt from Odie to put the momentum on Adapter, yet it is not enough. We saw the signs of hope. Ohio Northern.
They try and play on the dark cover and the drone as well, but with the paranoia in the face and the location reveal, that's easy pickings for Super Z, and they are acting as the duelist for the team this round, clearing out every angle here and even addressing into heaven to add kind of tiles aggression from the Chamber and the Reyna. Maybe they'll be able to divide their forces more evenly. Every player here getting their frag except Derp, who's able to strike back on the Butter Shiloh. But that is over. Max left in the 1v4.
Really is now concurrent into 3 flashes blown and both summoner spells taken down, or they're going to face each other again.
Wow, Jerry X went in really valuing that early CS count and that early stack. Gets first blooded, but on the other side, 1 against 3. Amadir Shi is able to get onto T1 Faker. And now the TP. Here comes Rocks. Right, stolen! Oh my goodness, he swiped it. Yarbrough on a one-way trip.
Welcome everybody to week 5, the ECC. We got the last week of the regular season. Winner of this match gets the #1 seed of the group heading into the playoffs. Going to be exciting. I cannot wait to see these two teams duke it out. But before we get to that, my name is Seymour. With me is Vincent. We're excited to have a couple of matches on the day. How are you feeling today?
Listen, it's always a good day for Valorant. It's always an even better day for collegiate Valorant, as you know I love to talk about. But Seymour,
yeah, you do.
This this matchup, I'm pumped. This is the matchup of this group.
No, this is 100% the matchup of the group. Maybe even the matchup of the season, but between the regular season. We got 2 teams with the golden accolades in the ECC, SNHU versus Utica Pioneers. SNHU fall 2022 champions, the spring 2023 champions. Utica, the fall 23 champions. So both of these ping-ponging from their successes. But with this season, I mean, it's been crazy. Both undefeated. SNHU have jumped into this year with an ironclad effort, staying undefeated in both series and map. And Utica, they've been powering through the year. The back half of the season has been incredible with a large map pool, tons of agent flexibility, and a really strong team to look to take down SNHU today.
Exactly, and that kind of begs the question, right? You know, Utica coming in, I think it's fair to say as favorites when you start the season. What happened to SNHU? Well, they had some big changes coming into this semester, specifically the majority of their previous roster graduating, and hey, great for them, but that does leave them in a lurch potentially. Hilton, the only guy remaining from that original roster, that roster from last semester, but they've come in and they're, like you mentioned, undefeated. Not only that, but they haven't even dropped a map. So clearly something's working, isn't it?
Granted, Utica, they've only dropped one map, so they've been nearly undefeated, losing to Malloy back in week 1. It was a tough loss for them, I'm sure, but they've bounced back ever since, and they have been non-stop throughout this pool. I think the big thing to talk about for the series is going to be the map pool for this because of that loss. Because of that map loss, it kind of puts Utica in an area where they don't really want to maybe go to that map, and we already see that they started off with banning Lotus right out from here.
Yeah, and listen, makes a lot of sense, especially when you consider that fact. Now, there's two things that jump out to me immediately though when we look at this, and first of which has to be Split. I don't know that I really expected to see Split, but it's actually the one map we don't really know too much about for SNHU. So in that way, I think it makes a ton of sense for Utica to jump into that. They've played Split already this season, and we haven't seen that from SNHU. That being said, this SNHU team hasn't found a map they can't play or don't.
Exactly. I mean, they've been winning nonstop, winning each map that they've gone into, taking down whatever team has stood in their way. So no matter what map Utica goes to, they have to imagine that it is going to be a tough matchup no matter what. Heading into Split for this map, number 1 of this series, it's going to be really interesting what comes out for these agent selections. I think for Utica, seeing Anchor bring out the Viper kind of leads me to believe they want to play a lot slower in that whole sense. I'm a big fan of the Viper coming out on a map like Split, because it kind of leans into the idea of a double controller composition with that Omen, and we already see Henzo, the flex of Utica, kind of leaning in towards that.
Yeah, and that's sort of our expectations. That's what we've seen them work towards before. But I think that actually brings up a good point. What are the big success points for both squads? And I think that is really important to talk about, because Nami has been a guy that has been unfreaking stoppable this entire semester. Seymour, this guy hasn't stopped, and what was it, 24 kills per game that Nami has put together over the games we have the stats for? That's incredible. How do you stop a guy like that?
Yeah, I mean, to look across the whole season and to drop 24 kills per game on average, I mean, it's just somebody you have to look to on SNHU and have the idea of, he can take over. We need to watch out for Nami. The other side, you have Prestine's. Prestine's one of those players who, in the duelist role for Utica Pioneers, doesn't have to take over the game for Utica to win. We don't always see Pristine on top, but we do see Utica winning. So it's kind of a battle of two separate playstyles, two very vastly different worlds.
It is, and I think that's when you're talking about Pristine. He's a guy that when I casted this team in, I think it was week 2, I mean, he was dominating, and it was incredible to watch. But the fact that he doesn't have to pull that off is important to think about, especially because if he plays his own game, if he focuses on what he typically does and doesn't opt into the head-to-head with Nami like we're putting it together, then I think that's where SNHU are going to find some struggles. If Pristine opts in and doesn't find the win up against Nami, that's where I think we'll see Utica have difficulty.
So into round number 1 for Split. Utica and SNHU, winner of this best of 3, takes the top of the pool heading into playoffs. Number 1 seed does have a quite nice ring to it, Vincent, if I must say. So these early rounds going to be very important for how this game will go.
Pretty much full stack up towards the A side as well for the attackers initially. That'll heading up in towards heaven, and that's where I think we're going to see the first bit of connection. I do like that SNHU currently not even bothered about overwhelming this. They'll just let them have that space and then collapse.
Well, here's that duelist matchup that we said. Pristine going to get the better of Nami here in round 1 for the Pistols. Utica already on site, looking at the spike down ASAP, but look at the response from SNHU. Walking down ramp, looking to re-clear space. Hilton leading alongside it Frank, but Frank's going to be dropped. Wizard, Paranoia going to back them down on the ramps, and nowhere to go for SNHU. Utica boxing them out and making sure that this time is draining low. Sekio going to find an angle angle. Anchor quick to trade. SNHU struggling to find balance in this pistol round. It's nothing but Pioneers.
And I think that when Utica are approaching this round, it's the patience that they have. You don't want to get too far forward and bait out like a really swift response from SNHU. I think it was partially that slower play that allowed for Utica to kind of slowly crawl in, make some presence known, and then when they explode on the site, Pristine gets that opening pick, suddenly SNHU are reeling, trying to find response, and they don't have that in time. And when they do, well, as you mentioned, they were boxed out, entirely unable to get themselves forward or into position with the space that they had, not even having screens control, for example, as they tried to mount their retake. Nonetheless, it seems like nothing's changed from round 1 to round 2, Seymour. Pretty much the same posture.
It's pretty much the same opening. Pristine gets 2. Case and Nami, no more Duelist, no more Breach. And that should be the round all said and done. I feel like for Utica at this point, they're just playing damage control, making sure that they don't drop lives.
I mean, and that's totally fair. This is one of those nasty crossfires as well. Feels difficult when you're trying to walk into that one. Pristine will pick up a triple kill, and this is what I was kind of getting at when I talked about Utica and their win conditions, especially in that head-to-head between Nami and Pristine. Pristine can be that guy. You know, he absolutely can, and we see it right here. The thing is, he doesn't necessarily have to do that and hasn't had to do that all season, but if he's playing up to this level, this is going to be tough for SNHU.
Now we're into the rifles for SNHU. 2 kills across these 2 rounds. That's all that they have. So they have been completely
one of those was an
wiped.
anti-eco.
I'm just saying, they've just been completely wiped off the face of Split for these first couple of rounds. Hilton's going to find some information. The Cypher lurking just outside of B main. Nobody else. They have an idea that is not going to be the end game just yet. Frank drops a smoke. Jadal, perfect position to maybe find a first. No eyes from Nami. No information from Frank. Just sitting and waiting for this play to blow up. So patient from Utica, but as soon as Frank goes, he's going to spot them, and Nami knows there's more.
Love that Utica were just waiting on that. It's a bit of a 50, sure. Frank comes out on top, so Utica lose out, but nonetheless, the idea was there.
Anchor. I don't think they know. I don't think Frank knows this one. Not at all. So here's an opening to A. All you have to look to is the Cypher. Seikyo, what do you have for us?
Just stay alive here. This is the goal. High time for this rotation.
It's going to be tough. The Vandal will help. Cages are down. Tripwire's caught, but Wizard won't fall. Henzo to the rescue. And the spike now planted. 4v3 for the retake. Plenty of time now for SNHU to put these guns to the test, and Nami leading the charge. 3v3. Case caught with his utility out. Henzo's gonna get 2. Now down to 1 last member. An Anchor from up top. Hilton gonna get shot in the back, and Utica with an incredible play from Anchor. A fantastic rotation around, and some heroics from Henzo. A round 3 conversion.
And here's a guy we didn't talk too much about in the pre-show, but Henzo is usually, if not that second star, often, even despite the fact that he's typically a flex player, plays a bunch of different roles. It doesn't seem to matter whether he's on the smokes or on something more explosive. He's usually there delivering beside Pristine. But not only that, he really forced the issue. Like, we really needed to see Seikyo find at least a kill or stay alive longer. Henzo said no, not gonna happen.
So far for Utica, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better start to Split. 3 rounds in a row, now you have rifles. And not only that, you had, what, 3 players left alive at the end of last round? I mean, that is incredible.
That was your bonus?
Look at this call from Nami. All the way up through mid. Frank and Nami are getting so much information on this one. Tripwire not going to catch them either, but the shot's a little too early from Nami, and that leaves B open for a plant.
Well, they have the sight. The fact that Nami gets away with that.
Oh my.
It's absurd. He's got away with more.
Pristine! The showstopper now changes things around, and everything is looking to ramp up in pace as soon as the spike goes down. Flashpoint, Pristine in a great position to spoil the fun, but doesn't expect SNHU to be down in towards Dumpster. Pristine, though, gonna skill flick over, remove that Cypher, and Utica can do no wrong right now, it seems. Case is gonna be able to get at least a consolation kill, but that's 4 rounds in a row.
Pristine's bailed them out right there. I mean, things were looking good and then very bad about as quickly as you could say those two words right beside each other for Utica. They had the space, they had everything. It was a good call to head towards B, and suddenly they're getting flanked by 2 players, gone in an instant. That showstopper, perfect. And that's part of where having your Raze player really dominate early gives you the flexibility to pull that out, even on an anti-eco when typically maybe you wouldn't want to utilize or invest something so high tier. Bails him out big time.
Jadal, Hilton, for the contact play, swings out. The information is there. Frank on a crossfire. Utica have deciphered this in the past, and chance to do this again. Trailblazers going to catch 2. Frank might look to peek this one. Little damage on the Jadal. Actually gets dinked down to 56 HP.
The spin control that Utica are putting together is important for their long-term plans here on the attack. Making sure that there's no free mid-control for SNHU, that they still need to commit resources there early round and then check back out on it and ensure that nothing's going awry. That's what Utica are trying to do here. And as you can see, they're going to spread back out across the map. In fact, it's spread out and then group up. The A site is once again the area they're headed towards, with Anchor already in a forward position. And I don't know that they've been spotted by this camp.
Might have found my cape.
First one out, Anchor in a little bit of trouble. Nice paranoia from Frank. That's going to be Viper off the board now. Henzo going to have to look to do some big work for the controller. Jadal, Wizard, Henzo all chiming in for kills. And before you know it, Nami already all the way on this flank. Too little, too late. Spike's going to get planted. A 1v3 clutch. Showstopper if you get this first kill. But that's if you get this first kill.
Hey, but that's what I was thinking, right? Nami, he's usually good at least for the 1.
But now they know. Paint shell. Bonzo not going to be worried at all. Walks right through the damage. Secures the kill before going down. And at this point, 5 rounds in, you don't care about losing your life if you're Henzo.
And a little micro thing right there as well. Henzo knows that if you're tossing that paint shell as Nami, you don't toss a paint shell and then expect somebody to walk out of the smoke where the paint shell just was exploding. Like, that's just not something you're going to typically see. And that's part of why Henzo has that opportunity just in the brain there for a moment. On the Omen. This is bad news for SNHU. I mean, hey, it's early. And remember, Utica picked this map. All things to keep in mind. But 5-0 down, and it hasn't even looked particularly close.
Flash out from Nami, looking to get aggressive there, but the counter flash, Henzo playing out of his mind right now. Smoke goes down, but the damage is already done, and Pristine might be looking to make some plays. Blastback not going to get him through. Frank, lovely shot there with the share of the damage. Will be secured from Pristine, gets 2, and the site has fallen. Henzo's actually TP'd all the way back over towards A with from the shadows. A bamboozle from Utica, and everything is in shambles for SNHU.
Yeah, I mean, the Cypher had already kind of walked out over at the A site, confirmed nobody was home, and, well, take a hope and a prayer. It was a 1v3, cut to 2, sure, but these guys could be literally anywhere. They've had an actual lifetime to get into position, and, yeah, Henzo taking the fight aggressively. I like that decision as well.
You know,
6-0.
In the days of Split, where it used to be heavily defender-sided. And, you know, changes have come through. The meta has, you know, shifted away from being so defender-sided to a point where, you know, you can play very explosive. Get onto these sides, get the spike down, and then use that kind of defensive setup in your own right as an attacker and set up a post plant. Utica are bypassing that with just sheer will, sheer power, and that comes from the back of Pristine 10-4 and Henzo 9-1. One death on Henzo. Actually, a masterclass coming out from these two to open up this game, and for the Pioneers, no better start could be had. They've silenced Nami. The kind of fighting case that we had for this SNHU team, 3-6. We talked about this head-to-head, and Pristine just is dominating it.
Yeah, and with the help of Hinzo, it's been incredibly strong. And I want to shout out real fast, Anchor. The way that Anchor is putting together this default utility out at A, that toxic screen, has made life so difficult for Sequo on the A site or whoever's there. Like, consistently you're seeing a Utica player lurking up and getting into tower, like finding space towards the A side, even getting into these little nooks and crannies and either stopping rotations or finding successful frags that will then cause a rotation. Nami, that's something we need to see more of right there.
Right
early
off the break.
And quick.
Nami says, all right, you say that Pristine is dominating this matchup? Let me get mine.
I'll show you. That's the 1v1 there as well, to be fair.
The only thing is consistency at this point for the rest of the team as well, because when you take down Pristine, now you need to deal with Henzo. And Utica, they're okay with burning the clock out, hitting the sites very late. And they still have the neural theft if they get a kill. Fortunately for SNHU, they still have 4 ultimates for the retake, if need be.
Trailblazer.
Oh, Nami.
I don't know how much it's found. With Anchor getting that kill in mid, now this A site more vulnerable, but the Seekers to hold him off.
Seekers giving away a lot. Hilton's under trouble, needs help from their Omen. Case, Frank, all rotating back to give some help here, and the rotate out actually from Utica. They're giving this one up. They're going to leave Anchor all alone to lurk. See if you can fish a kill and pull this to B.
There's just going to be one guy there. I mean, rotations are starting to come through, and it's... Oh, Anchor dispatch. Case is up to him.
Well, Fap's going to give away Case, but still finds his one. Hilton now here. Nice shots with the Phantom. Sprays it down. Hilton. All right. Returning for another year. The sole member of SNHU. Back with vengeance.
That's the round they needed, and they needed bad. I love the decision-making from Utica. I think they really called it correctly. Wizard making some good mid-round adjustments, but the shots, those are what connect. Case into Hilton. That second kill. Just continuing the spray. Don't see that every day. Full 30 bullets, magazine. The last one a headshot. Look at the showstopper. SNHU have that available to them. They're not going to go ultra aggressive with it. They're just going to hang on to it. Wait, maybe for a retake?
I mean, they've
maybe
had
find
it
something mid-round.
for a couple rounds now. I mean, you think Pristine's going to be overlapping in this round for it, but what a shot from Frank. Hanker bit off a little too much than he could chew.
He was barely even swinging that.
I can't believe that was a kill. But the regression out. Here's the showstopper. Jadal actually finds Nami in the air. Henzo's going to equalize this, but that showstopper at least keeping things in the hands of SNHU. Once again, it's on the shoulders of Seikyo.
I mean, this is another round that Utica have made the right call. They've correctly identified where the weaknesses are. One man going to hold this back.
They're going to get over the tripwire. Pristine's clearing out this site. Seikyo feeling the pressure now, but I love this rotation. The Rolling Thunder doesn't catch the teammate, but it'll give him an avenue through. Wizard hiding in his own cage. Says, welcome to my domain. And his domain beats yours all day of the week. Pristine gonna finish off Case. The wall bang from Hilton makes it a 1v2, but the spike is down. And you don't even have your Seekers. Hilton now looking to bait some audio. Some attention back up top. Phantom in hand. No utility, 89 HP. And no info on them. Spots a shoulder, and now, Utica, they can double up with each other. Play for the trade. And the showstopper from Pristine just to put the nail in the coffin. Now Hilton can't step forward, has to wait it out. And it doesn't matter because the splash from the showstopper is going to finish off the round.
The key frag right there from Wizard, though. Oh my goodness. Hit with a stun. The Rolling Thunder. Who cares? Just one tap in the back of the head. The Sequo. Oh my goodness.
There.
An expensive round to be sure. No doubt about it. I mean, hey, had to use the showstopper just to ensure victory, but I'm of the mindset, Seymour, and clearly Utica are too, that it's well worth it as long as you get that dub.
Dub's a dub. I mean, for Utica, a showstopper is going to lead them, and the fact that, you know, Pristine has had 2 showstoppers to the 1 used by SNHU. Nami's going to have to step it up here, and you need some help to do so. So you look to the rest of the team to maybe support this, and Pristine's putting some pressure on Case, who gets one with the stinger, and Hilton looking to help out. 5 HP on the sky. Hilton gets 2. Is it enough?
Those Seekers crucially going to buy some time and space for this plant to come down in the Viper's pit. Activated. Oh! Nami had no idea. K-Del gets away with a freebie and just jumps into the pit. No need to overextend.
Where is everyone hiding?
Hiding in the pit. No, that's going to give it away, but look at the reposition. Seikyo is going to have to go in deep to win this round now. Cage is down. The Bird's going to make this a little bit difficult. And the vulnerability on top of the snake bite anchor. Going to trap Seikyo inside his ultimate and finish off the round without even needing to look at him.
Oh, man. It was already set up well for Utica. Getting in front of that cyber cage, for example, that essentially sealed the deal. And then, you never want to go down to a snake bite. It always just feels awful. You feel like you've been scammed if you go down to one. Couple of hero rifles at the moment. Hilton full invested. As does Sequo, but this is a big commitment.
Frank with the stinger opens things up onto Pristine. Now for SNHU, I mean, they found the first blood in the past. They just haven't been able to translate it into a round win.
And it's on to Pristine again as well. Something to note for sure, but again, Utica just slow it down. They spread back out a bit, make sure to cover off all of the extremities, but they aren't at mid, and SNHU are. We've got 2 players all the way down. They're clearing out so much of this area. They haven't made an adjustment off the back of it. 3rd player joining them. SNHU, they're going to just push through sewer.
I love this call from Nami. It's flanked in the past, but unnoticed. Truly. And Frank has him pinned. All the attention on site. Utica starting to walk on forward, and here comes the flank with the Sheriffs. Fire's going to make this at least a little bit of a giveaway, but Frank hiding in the shadows. Nami doubles down, and things start to fall apart for the Pioneers. Just a couple more members. Anchor trapped on the other side of their wall. Hilton going to be blazing a trail to a round victory for the rest of the team, and Seikyo puts it away. Vandal in hand. Utica going to drop a 2nd round to SNHU.
And it's 2 rifles, but the key is the Stinger purchased up by Frank. Massive opening frag, and not just that. Frank doesn't stick around too long, doesn't overstay his welcome. Comes back. Party ain't over yet. Frank's still going. Mid-round, SNHU, that mid push as well. Gives some massive information, and that's where Frank just starts making some noise, making some audio cues. Giving Utica something to deal with. Focus on.
Another first blood from Frank. Stepping up in the later half of the first half. Hilton's going to flash back out. That's good information for the rest of the team. 3 players here just to deny this space to Utica. Jadel still maybe wants to toy with this. The flash around the corner. Force now in the open. Hilton's got that confirmed. Seekers now. Information galore.
at SNHU just tossing all the utilities straight down here.
Hilton
So
wants
much
more.
space.
Hilton wants more.
I know exactly.
Pristine going back in. Neural theft. Should give this position away. And Pristine rips it back into his favor. Into the clutches of this round for the Pioneers. A 2v2 from what was a 3v4.
Disengaged for SNHU. They're not interested in taking this fight mid or continuing it. They had it on lock, but they didn't know the spike was fully down and unrecoverable.
Look at the rotation on A.
What's over to B? Fortunately, getting out of there fast enough.
Doesn't matter where they go, they have to fight.
10 seconds
And
left.
Seikyo, he has been iron in these positions, and he's good for one. 5 seconds left. Henzo has to go for the plant. From the shadows, Frank is going to be here. Paranoia won't land. 30 HP, has to press the issue, but Henzo is toying with him, not allowing him to fight. Clean, swings back out, and Frank for 3 for the clutch in the 1v1. SNHU still holding on to this half.
The Omen stepping up on both sides of this one, with Frank opening this round, by the way, with an incredible shot. Comes back for the clutch. Oh my goodness. Enzo thought he'd had it. He stopped shooting. Had a moment maybe to take another bullet, but didn't think it was necessary. Still a dominant scoreline for the moment for Utica, but as we approach the final round of the half, this would have been their last buy. Now just a little bit lesser than it would have been. Utica need another round to really stamp their ticket, to show their dominance. Otherwise, I mean, I'd already call this a pretty decent recovery from SNHU.
No, I agree fully. And it's from the veteran Hilton keeping his team in it, giving that time for Nami to find that confidence back here on Split, alongside that Frank and their first splits with this Omen. Clutch 1v1, and it might just be enough. Prestige just getting out of the way of danger, and the regrowth will be able to heal him back up. Nami now swings out. Jadal good for 1, but Case and Nami gonna combine for 2, an advantage to SNHU. Frank on the flank. Frank on the flank. Hilton's going back in. They want to suffocate them. Nowhere for Utica to go. And here's Frank to look to clean the rest up. Case, Seikyo, it's all done. 8-4 half. SNHU finish strong.
Suffocate indeed. Utica couldn't breathe, couldn't see, and certainly couldn't shoot back. Utica entirely smothered from every direction. Seikyo coming in from one side and Frank the other. What a brilliant way to just make a, 3 round in a row comeback for SNHU. That will definitely help their momentum coming into the second. Because it was looking dire. I mean, SNHU, a strong team. They've looked so good this season, but those first few rounds, I was wondering where they went. And what's really incredible is we haven't seen Nami fully come online yet. And if that happens, gotta get ready, Utica.
Swap sides, Pristine now in the tripwire. Anchor actually gonna find a kill with the snake bite. Hilton held close. The right click from Anchor's gonna get a second in the round, and the Marty dump from Pristine. You gotta be kidding me.
From the grave. Both love and hate to see that. The space created towards the B site. And
Anchor.
oh, Anchor.
I mean, the timing couldn't be better. They'd have no idea. Anchor's going to find his 3rd of the round, almost a 4th, and Frank just reeling with his tail tucked between his legs to try and get away. Racing back over towards A, but hiding in the smoke. 5 HP, a dream to get a couple kills, and Henzo says no. They're wary of jumping into a dark cover without clearing it first, and rightfully so.
If only Frank knew how empty the A site was. If only. Didn't have that little bit of information though, and Utica, they've just picked up their 2nd pistol round of this series. Both of them here on Split. A massive boon to any team picking up both pistols, but especially Utica, who already had that 8-4 lead, now putting it even further, potentially 10 on the cards. That is if something crazy doesn't happen. There's just the one additional upgrade, one ghost. hands of SNHU for this round, though, Seymour. Unlikely.
Toxin screen down.
Very unlikely for sure. Especially on the attacking side. I mean, it's easy, I'd say, to convert the second round when you're on the attacking side, but when you're trying to find a thrifty on the attacking side of the split, it's a whole different ballpark. It's a whole different game. And look at the aggression coming up from the defensive side, too. Anchor is going to push all the way down ramp, gets his kill, and gets out.
Oh, Nami turned around. Wasn't expecting anybody to hang out there. This is a crossfire, and, well, Utica have been very clean on some of these anti-eco rounds. You know, the force buys, that's a different story. Half buys, SNHU have really took it to Utica, but ecos, yeah, Utica have had a handle on things pretty darn well.
Right there.
What do you do if you're SNHU? Maybe a couple kills. Almost a chance to get the stinger up, but Pristine's going to finish it off. 3 kills in the rounds from your Rays, who has been fantastic throughout this game. I mean, we walked into the split. We walked into the series with the idea of Pristine versus Nami. Nami being that takeover duelist, Pristine being that very passive duelist who, you know, just does exactly what the duelist needs to do. Control that space, control the tempo, and, you know, and really enable the rest of your team to pop off. But in this game, 19 and 10, I mean, Pristine is in full takeover mode.
Yeah, and it's, I wouldn't even call it a slow start. He's just been there from the beginning, and it's hard to stop. Especially when he has backup like Enzo.
And that is like the 7th first death that we've had from Nami as well, which doesn't help. These opening duels have been dominated by Utica.
Yeah, outside of a couple of rounds that Frank was really able to step in to that role. It's been all Utica.
Wizard looking to re-clear heaven. Hilton in a very strong spot to catch a few players wrapping. And the setup for SNHU, exactly what they need. Flashback in. Hilton's going to be able to clear that heaven spot. Wizard goes down. Now for the retake. Lesser numbers for Utica means SNHU should be answering back here, looking to at least lessen this lead that Utica has built. But still a chance. Vandal recovered for Pristine. Then you know that he could get to work with this rifle in hand. Still both blast packs as well, but jumps right out into Frank, absorbing the aggression and dealing with the danger. Hilton's going to be able to find his 3rd of the round, and SNHU cut this lead to half.
That was the bonus. That was SNHU's round to win. When you looked at it, I mean, Wizard had a classic. So, considering now the big guns, those rifles on the board, Utica in a different spot. And I think Utica playing that round aggressive for that reason. You know, getting 3 players down mid, and they win the opening duel for it. The right idea doesn't end up working out. The responses from SNHU to head towards A, where they found some space, the right ones.
Gotta take a second, too, to talk about how good these guys have been for clearing space, pop flashes, everything that's needed to really enable these duelists. Nami, though, needs to start seizing these moments. So flash out for the smoke. Enzo alone, but good for 1. And Anchor going to be blocking off the ropes, so a 1-2 punch coming out from Utica. And SNHU, that one's going to sting.
They walked right into the trap. Activated their trap card and everything. The other side of this push towards B, I mean, it's all well and good, but you don't have the spike, guys. And there's no from the shadows to grab it.
The spike's all the way back in heaven. No ult. It's going to have to be a wrap through the defender spawn. And, you know, you go one farther, it's going to have to be a 2v4.
Yeah, I also noticed Utica grouping up correctly. They know, hey, the only way we lose this round is if we just give them 1v1s and don't cover off this spike.
30 seconds left.
And not even that. I mean,
making those
look at the setup of Wizard. He knows they're not coming through mid. So the only last place they can go is through defender spawn. Wall's going to go up. Paranoia out. The sprays for the Phantom. Jada locks it down. 11 rounds for Utica, and their map pick is just flourishing.
Was Jada not paranoid? I have no idea how that whiffed. That's brutal. Feels Like that
I think
should have
that's just a
connected,
phantom gamer. There's only one way they can come. Just gotta spray.
Hey, that is a true statement. Keep that mouse one down. Oh, SNHU. It's by all over the place. At this point, though, what really can they do otherwise? They have enough for 3 rifles, and you can't be giving up rounds at this junction.
And you gotta think about it.
5.
How do you not give up rounds when Pristine has a showstopper?
It's a hard ask, I'll tell you that. Oh.
Interesting blast back to get rid of the tripwire, though. That is going to force some heavy attention here from both Anchor and Pristines.
Ambitious was case to stick around considering they heard the paint shells and know the showstopper's available.
Lurk here from
They're just
Seikyo.
chilling.
Wall is up. Seikyo could get some space off of this. And while this is happening, maybe Seikyo can lurk. Well, the attention's all the way at heaven. Here comes the showstopper. Anchor peeks out mid, takes 2. And the showstopper's going to take care of Case. Frank falling off screen. One last standing, and Seikyo on 33 HP means that they know exactly where the Cypher is. On the horizon, a 12th round for Utica.
And at this point, SNHU, kind of thinking maybe about the next map. I don't know. 4 spot into the last round. Not going to have, I mean, they're going to have even less available to them this round. I don't like counting anyone out, but at 12-5, 7 rounds down, Utica have their number, and particularly Pristine and Hinzo, like, just dominating the field. And look at Anchor. I mean, Anchor has crept up 1 to 2 kills every single round and has equaled the numbers there for Hinzo.
Looks like they want to rush it up mid, but look at the counter to that. In reaction, they just dropped the Viper's Pit. That's a perfect play call from Anchor, and the lurking Seikyo is going to be found within the first 30 seconds.
Well, at least that leaves SNHU grouped up together. At least what's left of them. All 4 head out to the B site. Now, nobody's here.
A wizard. I mean, tripwires and a Cypher within Split's B site. Couldn't ask for a better duo. Pristine now looking to put the cherry on top, and with Hilton going down, that's that. 13-5. A dominant showing from Utica Pioneers here in map number 1 of week 5 of the ECC. Vincent, their map pick, couldn't ask for a better one.
Yeah, I mean, they rolled their way through, and I think when we think about the win conditions and what happened there, obviously getting that strong start, right? They go up, what, 6-0? Something along those lines, powered behind Pristine initially, and then Hinzo taking the reins and dominating in those last 3 rounds of that run. That's where the game felt like it was done. You know, they already had such momentum, and despite a, you know, I'll say it, a pretty good resurgence there from SNHU towards the end of the half, they never really got back into the map, did they?
I mean, like, you got to think about it. 9-3, it's a stretch. It's a curse for sure, but it's a stretch. 8-4, it's manageable. 7-5, it's doable at that point. And, you know, 6-6 is winnable. It's kind of, you're just kind of mitigating that as you kind of gain rounds and measure it going into the second half. But it goes into that second half, and after that full resurgence that we got from SNHU, Anchor shows up in the pistol round with a 3K on their defensive side, and that just skews everything back in favor of Utica. Once they get the pistol, they're able to convert, and things just keep on growing in favor of those Pioneers. So even though SNHU were able to claw their way back into that game, they're still missing very minute plays, some big mistakes in that game that really gave Utica an edge.
Yeah, and listen, I'll talk about it, the elephant in the room, or maybe the lack thereof, and that's Nami. Normally a huge factor for the success of this team. I mean, to put it into perspective, I feel like maybe sometimes, you know, you hear us talking about this and you're like, oh, maybe you're exaggerating. This is the first time Nami has had less than 10 kills in a map in the entire season.
At least that we know of. I mean, there is one match that we don't have the stats for, but
That's
other
true.
than that,
Do you think he had less than 10 kills in either of those maps? I don't.
I don't expect him. No. I mean,
Yeah.
Nami's a force of nature, and you look to this player to, again, like we said, going into this match, take over the server, and that wasn't there. And when Nami isn't taking over the server, is that kind of the reach of SNHU? Is that where their reach ends?
And it potentially is. That's what we saw in this matchup. Alongside, I would just want to say, a brilliantly called attack side for Utica. Like, how many times, Seymour, did I talk about how, well, what a great call. They went right into the right site. They made the right decision. Happened pretty much consistently. I think, not to take anything away from Utica, their stars were there, but the brains were there as well. Wizard called a great game.
Wizard called a fantastic game. Utica firing on all cylinders. You mentioned it one too many times to know that Utica showed up on Split and they showed out for the map pick. So while we get set up for our second map coming up next, it's Bind, SNHU. They got to dig deep to set us to a map number 3 and have their chance at Icebox to top off this group stage. We're going to take a quick little break and we'll be back soon with some more ECC.
I know exactly. Spike down mid. Enemy remaining. Spike planted. Finished. I know exactly. Seconds left. One enemy remaining. Enemy remaining. Head feeling over here. 30 seconds left. Spike down B. Spike planted. Get up. Sky's out. One enemy remaining. I know exactly. Spike down mid. Enemy remaining. Spike planted. Finished. I know exactly. 2 seconds left. One enemy remaining. Enemy remaining. Head feeling over here. 30 seconds left. Spike down B. Spike planted. Get up. Sky's out. One enemy remaining. I know exactly. Spike down mid. Enemy remaining.
Welcome back after that short break. We got the ECC Week 5, SNHU versus Utica Blue. It's a fun matchup, but Utica showed up and they were ready to play 13-5 on their map choice of Split. Now they lead this best of 3 with a chance at topping off the groups now heading into Bind. Vincent, a couple things we got to talk about for this. We went into it with a story built out, Duelist versus Duelist. Well, in Game 1, SNHU had a little bit of a blunder there. Nami shows up and Game 1 Nami just was not alive at all. And heading into this Bind, you cannot go in there looking at Game 1 Nami and expecting to see that in Game 2.
Yeah, it was a dark spot, but from the dark into the light, Frank really stepped up big time and had some massive moments where if that continues and then we get Nami to kind of show up even, you know, maybe double what he did in the first map. That's not to his normal standard, but that's absolutely going to be enough to really, I think, put this SNHU team on the map. And when you compare what Frank was doing up against Henzo, they were doing pretty good. I mean, Henzo, I think, got the better of that duel, that engagement, you know, the Omen versus Omen. But if Frank continues and Nami steps up, well, then we're cooking with gas.
Oh, yeah. Then you're expecting to see an icebox where you don't really want to cook with gas because everything's made out of ice and you might see a whole meltdown in the facility. But you know, that's for map 3. Right now we're going to Bind where it's very hot and you expect things to melt if it's cold. But it's important to kind of note, even with Frank going into this, that maybe Nami just needs that time to warm up. I mean, we looked at Hilton as the only returning member of SNHU as well, and that experience was showed in that game number 1. So if these two can maybe carry the weight for a little bit, allow Nami to get more comfortable against a team that, you know, looking at the stats of the rest of the season, is notably higher in skill level than the rest, we just need to see Nami get a little bit comfortable. And heading into Bind, we can kind of pick that apart with what we're going to see. Nami's bringing out the Phoenix. What is this?
So there was already something I needed to mention for SNHU. Last time they played Bind, they played a Killjoy on Bind, which is a wild thing to do to begin with. Now they're playing a Deadlock. What is happening over here?
Deadlock, Phoenix, Omen, Viper. Are we trolling?
Okay, for the record, Seymour, they played Jet, Sky, Brim, KJ, Viper last time out. And I don't know what's happening.
I mean, that's their map pick. They have an idea. They've been cooking, doing their homework, whatever they need to. And if you're going to experiment on any map in Valorant, you experiment on a map like Ascent or you experiment on a map like Bind, I'd say. And, you know, so it's not the craziest thing to see a change.
Okay, that's true. This change in particular is a bit wild. It is.
Where does the Deadlock come in?
That's the question. You know, the Phoenix, it's kind of just meh, you know, but that's been the thing with Phoenix for like 2 years at this point, Seymour. It's fine. You can do really well with it. It's just kind of whatever. But I have faith that Nami could pull something out here. It is the Deadlock that I have big question marks about.
It could be comfort picks at this point, but again, you're changing roles from Frank and SNHU.
Seymour, there's no world in which Frank's comfort pick is Deadlock. I simply refuse to believe it. He'll have to come on the stream and explain that. Like, tell me that to my face before I believe that.
I think it would be the first ever Deadlock comfort pick I've ever seen. But
literally ever.
On top of that, you're switching roles from Sentinel or from controller to Sentinel and SNHU, vice versa. This is a completely different look at SNHU.
And that's true. Though, I mean, to be fair, SNHU, they are a team with, you know, a lot of skill. I don't have any doubt that they can make those adjustments. But I do wonder about just about whether that Deadlock really fits in, especially compared to, I mean, listen, they were playing a Killjoy before, which is basically trolling. But compared to what you would normally see, which is a Cypher, I feel like you're losing quite a bit, you know, especially with the lack of the cam.
By the way, I meant the Phoenix was the comfort pick, not the Deadlock.
I know.
Let's get things straight for those who are watching. I never look at a Deadlock and feel comfortable because I'm here looking up the names of all the utilities. But nobody plays Deadlock. Like, that's the end-all, be-all, period. Full stop. Nobody plays Deadlock.
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure that Utica have played a bit of Deadlock. Oh no, it's SNHU that have played the Deadlock. They
On
played it
Lotus.
on Lotus. Does that make it better or different? Maybe that does make it better.
Maybe. But again, it's just where does the Deadlock fit in all of this? Definitely going to make it a little bit troublesome for rotations when it comes to Utica, but starting off on the attacking side, this is going to be a very slow approach if Nami can't get the ball rolling. So looking to the pistol round, SNHU lost both pistols. Can they change it this time around? Henzo is going to open up the cages and immediately loses life. Seikyo and Hilton, they strike first.
Spike planted.
Wanker's got
Hello.
massive flank.
Oh, you gotta hit those. You gotta hit those just like that. Pristine, putting in a clinic with the Sheriff. Although now Anchor in a 2v3, now a 1v3. All eyes on this Viper. Has to show up now. Hilton gonna be blocked off by the Deadlock utility. Not gonna be able to rejoin his comrades, but Nami keeping Anchor away and 50 HP, nowhere to go. Sonar's gonna give it away. And this is SNHU's pistol round, without a doubt.
And their first of the series. That's something to get them started. Get them rolling. And that is, I think, a big strength, actually, of Nami playing on this Phoenix, right? Those curveballs around the Viper utility are really strong. Whenever, I mean, yes, the Sky can do something similar. Typically, that's what you're going to see is the guiding light through the Viper utility. But those curveballs coming in at any juncture through the Viper utility is pretty strong. So I think that there is that. SNHU, there's options here.
Plenty and plenty of options for SNHU. Nobody's on A for Utica. I mean, this is a full B stack.
Yeah, everybody's chilling.
How long does it take for SNHU to realize this?
Over there.
I don't know, but
Look
seems
how
like
big
they're
the barrier
ready.
mesh is. I forgot that changed.
Yeah, it is massive. I do think that if you can get into position where you own an area of the map, it's phenomenal for just denying space.
Well, soon enough, SNHU, they're going to realize. It's free real estate.
It also lasts forever, I forget. I think it might be A.
I think so.
Just maybe.
Well,
Utica getting that same call right as I did.
full death ball through market, I'm with it. But, however,
There.
look at the rotations coming up for SNHU. They have the Lurking Viper. A Crossfire is set up. Case is going to give all of this information away, and this is ridiculous. I mean,
I'm loving it.
I love it too, but at the same time, I hate it.
Grab the exit frags. There's no reason to just toss your body into this.
No reason to give ultimate as well.
It's true, too.
You don't even have to find exits, right? You just got to make sure that SNHU get nothing from this round other than a round 2.
It's really nasty. Really grimy. But I love it.
That's a team that wants to win.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It does look not that fun, but winning is a lot of fun.
It's just in the grand scheme of things, you know, when you put it all together. Later on down the line, in round 27, we're going to be looking back at this like, you remember in round 2 when they didn't give up those ultimate orbs. And you still look over towards, you know, Seikyo, Case, and Frank, who is still no progression on their ults.
It does work both ways, to be fair, you know? You get the opportunities to get orb of your own.
It's the snowball, though, that you have to kind of think about for SNHU.
Well, SNHU, they've gathered some tentative shower control, and they're ready to just instantly split A if they get the right look. In fact,
Hilton.
I don't even think they care what the look is.
Smokes go down, and here's the flash out. Dark cover. Molotov actually going to push forward. Anchor forced into the open, and Nami has awoken. Flash out again. Pristine counters it and snaps back for a trade. 4v4. Smokes go down. Wizard Pristine on a crossfire. Shut down this attack from SNHU and give themselves a chance at a round win. Seikyo now looking for some control back into it. Hilton's going to be able to lock down another one, but now it's just Seikyo 1 versus 2, full HP and utility, but Henzo still on fire from game 1 and not going to let up now.
Great recovery from Utica, just hanging out. They got the rotations coming in, pristine patience on the back of the site, and from there, when they had the numbers just collapsing, SNHU knew they needed to take the backside control, and in doing so, really wrote their own death warrant. Bonus round not theirs, though some serious economic damage done to the Utica squad. Notice Wizard and Hanker having to do some mathematics in the head, trying to figure out a way to get the full weaponry and utility online. They'll do so. Sans just the one. They have an SMG on Anchor, I believe it was.
Tommy already has their ults. Like, this is 100% better than game 1.
True. But to be fair, that was a low bar.
Anchor's making a play. Listening to everything and waiting for the chance to just jump out and grab this. And here we go. Run it back. Anchor, can you finish it off? No. Hilton there to trade. And now Nami's able to get back into the mix. Nice flash out. Pristine caught in the cover. 2 easy ones there for SNHU.
But a quick rotation. Jadel's in big trouble.
Oh. Jadel's in jail. Ravnet jail.
Wild. Simply wild. I think this round is basically done.
Unless
Wizard's
Wizard
gonna
can
have to
do
do
something. 3v5. The TP's going to come out. Wizard finds Nami. Now snapping around, expecting the push from behind, but Seikyo doesn't want to let up just yet. Flash out, and Jadel into the mix. Franco shuts it out. Seikyo finally makes a play, and Frank gets a second. SNHU rebound after losing round 3, and they take their third.
And there's a moment, I think, where you can really say that the utility that Frank was putting together had some big impact, right? Rare that we've seen that, right? And we haven't seen a lot of the deadlock, partially because it's so difficult to find that, but I'm already on board to a certain extent with this deadlock.
I think that it's something that not a lot of teams would be used to. And in that sense, Utica, when caught in that situation, go panic mode.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what even, you get hit with something and you're like, what even is this?
How do I fight this? Oh! I mean, Nami and Seikyo counting their lucky stars, but Henzo double dips. Now looking for 3, and finally it's going to hit. The Marshall finds 1, Marshall finds 2. Yeah, I mean, Frank able to punish Jadel, looking to reaggress into it, and Hilton takes a 3rd down. Utica had a moment there, and they let it slip.
Yeah, I mean, Henzo, I think, doing so much good work, just finding anything out of that, but Utica, the final 2 members, are going to group back up and work their way through Hookah. Maybe can find something off the back of this. Any amount of damage is good damage for them.
A rifle out of the hands in SNHU is a good round from Utica. I was going to say is rifle in the hands of Utica, but that, you know, isn't necessarily factually the case. So Frank's going to get in here and look to maybe take them out of the equation. But Anchor for a later kill. Phantom going to be picked up by Wizard, and he won't be able to take it to the next round. So he says, let's jump into the pit.
Utica putting on a very consistent face, though. Their approach to these eco rounds not changing between the first and the second. Right? It's all about just getting the bare minimum and then denying anything further for SNHU. Right? Henzo picks up a couple of kills. Great. Get an exit and ensure that nobody over for SNHU is going to get those additional orbs, not going to have the additional ultimates available to them. It's respectable. As they take a timeout, Utica will talk it over, and it's interesting. Utica, this is a team that they kind of have a bit of an odd setup when it comes to their in-game leadership. Wizard is their in-game leader, but talking to Pristine, it was back in week 2, he was telling me that essentially they kind of have a by committee type of in-game leadership, especially mid-round. Everybody kind of throws some ideas out there, and typically, especially him and Henzo, really support Wizard in that, which is really cool.
It is cool. It is cool. And I'm wondering if, you know, maybe this play style can bring them back into bind so far, but it doesn't seem like they're really confident yet on this map, at least for the defensive side. I do have something to say. You're going to hate it, but I have to say it before I forget about it. Do you think that the Las Vegas Sphere is just a detonated spike?
Maybe. Listen, there's simply no evidence
That it's not. Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page there. Anchor. Oh, he's on a good page, and that page is the Death Note.
Yeah, written them down, taking them out.
Name by name.
And that's where the grab net, I think, kind of just is a difficult piece of utility to rely on. Because it doesn't really deny anything but movement. You can still shoot your gun, and when Anchor's connecting, it's over.
Anchor is going to be caught high and dry, but Wizards here to clean up. It's a full house between the two in the showers of vines. And Utica put their second on the board with it. Doesn't get better than that if you're Wizard. Very quiet game number 1, but in that moment, a heroic stance.
All I'm saying is, apparently Wizard, he may be able to cast spells, but he can shoot guns as well. It's them all lined up. And that, to me, that is a big momentum swing. Utica, not that they were really down bad right here, but picking up that round sets them up for success moving forward as they take some aggressive showers control. When JDL is somewhat stuck, he's got to get the heck out of there.
So smart, though. It's the TP to avoid the annihilation. Unfortunately, Henzo's the one that peeks out, and the firing squad is ready for him, but there's the small little things there to stay away from the deadlock ults. Now Nami to run it back all the way into the spawn, get a spot at Wizard, but not able to lock down that kill. Instead, just holding Utica at arm's reach.
Yeah, that orbital strike, though, available, but look at the denial. Look at just waiting them out. SNHU, they're buying so much time.
And Anchor can't make the play, so they have to regress fast, and the blast pack's going to push Jadal into the open. Nami locks down 2, and Anchor on the flank. Is it too late? Is this into a 1v2, but through the smoke? Case, what a shot.
The read, I guess. Case, he didn't even get the chance to toss the toxic orb out. Nothing there. SNHU doing a really good job. I mean, it was an expensive round, let's be real. They used 3 ultimates, but those big ultimates, especially the Hunter's Fury, the run it back, delaying Utica's possibility of retakes. And Utica had the tools to do so. Now, Utica on their last chance purchase, they're even going to have Wizard down to a Bucky, which normally I'm a shotgun enjoyer here. Bucky's fine, but feels pretty bad compared to like what the Judge can do.
Yeah. And you know the Judge on Pine, it can do.
It claps.
It does. A lot more than just clap, let me tell you that. It sings.
We'll see if the Bucky can put that together maybe, recreate some of that magic. The Viper's Pit being already committed towards A, it has effectively made SNHU rethink their approach to this round. They were more A-centric initially. Now they've just left one player there, whilst meantime they get some space over at B, using that toxic screen to take the hookah space required.
Henzo with a heroic split. And you replicate that in this moment. Toe tag through the wall. And now they know. Swings out. Frank's going to dispatch that quickly. The orbital strike will deny the plants, but the damage is already extremely done.
That orbital almost seems just a second too late. Needed to get that information.
Showstopper in this as well. Lots of ults going to be invested by Utica. They want this round, and Anchor may be the way in. Pristine finishes off Nami with that ultimate, but in turn, Frank and Case hiding in the shadows, waiting for their chance. Easy trades from SNHU as they're dominating so far.
I want to go back to something that we've kind of left off for a moment, but this play from Nami, right? The curveball through the toxic screen, that's part of what made all of the utility just a second too late for Utica.
Yeah.
Like, the cam gets blinded, and Wizard doesn't have anything to talk about. Like, there's nothing to see from that site. And so, by the time they're actually on the site, there's no information. Henzo doesn't know.
I mean, like, the change from Phoenix is a little bit of a question mark for sure. It's very different from the Jet or from the Rays. You know, it's not as impactful in the long run of the rounds, but at the start of rounds, Nami can provide so much for the explosiveness of this attack. And you don't need to have that superstar performance if you're Nami right now. You're almost taking that same kind of form that Pristine has, where you're just doing enough to let the rest of your team excel. And he's walking in on his third run it back. And with that kill on the Pristine, he has it.
And that's part of the real allure of playing the Phoenix, is you get that run it back really quickly, especially if you're farming orbs, which for the most part they've been doing, especially over towards Shower.
I have a run it back, I use the run it back, and you know, it's just a full cycle through this ultimate again and again.
It also feels good, right? Because there's not as much pressure on getting the big value out of it because it's a little cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, you can toss it in there with a bit of a hope and a prayer.
Kind of like the Empress in that same sense, you know?
Yeah.
You use it when you want to use it, and kind of you want to use it all the time if you're Nami here. So, not needed into this round in particular, and okay, wait a second, Jadal gonna make us doubt for a second, but doubters are silenced. Case puts a bullet in the back of that Sky's skull, and that is SNHU finding their 7th round. I feel like that was a little bit vulgar.
Maybe
I was just kind of like thought about that picture that I painted there, and I'm just like, maybe that was a little too vulgar.
Well, SNHU, they're not complaining. They are dominating, and it is really fitting that you mention how typically Utica are a team that it's a lot more of a team dynamic. You know, never usually just that one guy needing the charge. Well, it's definitely SNHU taking that cake for the moment.
Another round where Wizards looking to step up big time.
One enemy remaining.
Anchor as well. Wizard finds his 3rd, and Hilton within the first 30 seconds. Already all alone. Spike down in a very unfortunate spot as well, so Wizards going to re-up the smoke.
Okay.
That is the 2nd time that has happened in this game. And it's crazy that it's happened twice so far. Just a shot through the smoke, stray. You don't expect him to be there, but you'll take it.
Yeah. Tossing a few bullets down range, never hurt nobody. They know that the spike is down over here.
They have to know.
Surely they do. The only reason I asked is because only now are we seeing Enzo get back into position. But
Took a little bit of time, but he's here. And Pristine's going to find Hilton with his bow and arrow out. That's not going to help you in the fight.
no. Sort of like bringing a knife to a gunfight. It doesn't really usually work out for you.
Unless you're Legolas, but different universe.
Also, there weren't any guns.
That is great point. That is a great point.
So, you know, maybe it would have been different if there was weapons. But regardless, Utica, again, I feel the same way I felt 4 rounds ago when Utica just kind of came out and Wizard dominated around. Like, oh, okay, well, this is what Utica have been not showing us.
Well, an ankle biter of a tripwire, and it's going to catch Nami's run it back, and Hank taking a lot of damage from the Molotov.
Oh, he's got one.
Down to 53. The Annihilator is going to land, but it should secure the kill.
Wait, no.
Enzo caught in a web. 4v4. Spike down for the retake. Can Utica finally put another one on the board with the help of Wizard? Maybe that's the case. Pristine, Jadal starting to put the pressure down. The flank is out. Nami is blind, and a fantastic retake from Utica.
I just wanted to be known right there. Whilst Kenzo is getting stolen away by that Annihilation, randomly Frank just got spammed through a smoke again. That's another round that's happened. Just tapped immediately. Utica, they have solidified though. I mean, if they pick up this last round 7-5, what was it you said? It wasn't winnable.
It's manageable.
Manageable. I'd agree.
I think it's doable, actually, I said. 8-4 is manageable. 7-5 is doable.
Whatever it is, Utica are approaching it. Maybe some would say they're already there. Little lackluster for SNHU into this final round. They have a Guardian and a Bulldog. Wait, Utica have 4 players here.
Yeah, they want to take Frank out of the equation, and they will, by all means.
No, Frank's been there alone for the most part. I think most rounds, you know, if they're not taking space over at B, Frank is chilling there, and maybe SNHU or maybe Utica finally got the idea that that was happening.
And more often than not, it's been the barrier mesh that has stopped that aggression from Hookah. This time, he doesn't throw down the barrier mesh, and they're able to just fully flush it out.
They also had 4 players there, and I think that's part of it, too. If the barrier mesh had gone down, that thing's dead in an instant. 4 players.
Not effective against 4 players. Effective against 1 player, but not 4 players. Toxic Serene's going to go down and back up. Goes the defensive side from the shadows on point, and Case is actually going to, or Seikyo is actually going to stick it out. Case finds Anchor out in the open. Jadel now hiding the smoke. In comes Nami, and down goes the Sky. Orbital Strike's going to deny this plan, but a 2v4. A lot of work to be done. Wizard going to try his best, but needs to play this at the right timing.
And they have the Hunter's Fury as well, alongside this Viper's Pit. Taking the early and aggressive fight.
Wizard, nice angle. The crosshair placement is good. But that's a 1v2 now, and Seikyo is on the outside of the pit, waiting for Enzo to jump out. 8-4 is where we sit at the half. Manageable for Utica, but an exceptional rebound after what split looked like for SNHU. And
SNHU upsetting expectations as well in that post plan. Think about, you hear the Viper's Pit go down, and you have man advantage and everything. You're probably expecting for most of those players to be in a corner, in the Viper's Pit, something along those lines. No, SNHU fully upsetting that and going right for the aggressive swing. An overwhelming Wizard who certainly wasn't looking to see a double swing coming out up in that early. Utica, it's kind of crazy because what we saw from them in the first half, when they were winning, it was utterly dominant. But outside of that, we saw nothing.
I think a big change, too, has been this deadlock. I hate to say it. I think a lot of the attention of Utica is on shutting down this agent and dealing with it. And it's kind of catching them out in the open. This time, Hilton gets caught in the open. Henzo, nice patience waiting for the sound cue. And that's, I think, an opening pick that you'll take 9 times out of 10. So,
yeah. I think the big question, though, about that deadlock, by the way, Seymour, is about the defense, though. Because that's where, in reality, you lose the most from not having, like, a Cypher.
I do agree. I do agree with that one. Tough retakes, for sure. And this is going to be even harder now that you've lost Nami. No Phoenix to burst through these smokes. Seikyo waiting on the edge. Paranoia is going to push it in, try to beat out the spike plant, and it will for Pristine at least. But all alone, Seikyo will lose their life. The Craft at 3 down, crouched. Does he know Frank has everybody in front of him and manages to whittle this down into a 2 versus 2. Case through long, lots of noise being made. Wizard shots a little shaky, still hunts him down, and all alone Frank knows exactly where to go, although Henzo knows exactly where Frank is coming from, and that is going to be an easy cleanup there coming out from Utica to take the pistol round in the second half. Exactly what we were looking for SNHU to do back on split.
Yeah, that's equalizing things 1 apiece into bind when it comes to the pistol rounds. And I think that another moment where Frank really comes alive, especially where Utica seem like they just aren't quite sure what the right thing to do is against the grab net, right? Anchor was just trying to swing out, but ends up like slowly walking into the crosshairs of Frank. Was attempting to just double swing with his teammate, but gets punished for it.
Scout destroyed.
It's good information from the Trailblazer to figure out where this deadlock is playing at. It's, you know, would you even want to push B now you know the deadlock is here?
Yeah, maybe instead of an initial push, you'll be a little bit more passive, try to pull out that utility.
Hilton, gotta be careful. Second time Hilton's gone down first, and TP from Seikyo looking to hit a pinch real fast. Frank on the front line. Nice right click, jumping through the air. Soars back in. And on the exit, Jadel, Henzo trying to claw their way back out of this one. Flash fully blind, but Jadel doesn't matter. Cuts them to pieces with the Spectre.
And a really important recovery, too, from Utica. That started to get a bit dicey. That right click. It's absurd. It's free gun, guys. It's simply absurd.
I swear they've nerfed it like 3 times as well.
They have. They've only nerfed it. It's never been buffed, and it's still good. It's very much like the Judge in that sense. Just keeps getting... To be fair, the Judge has been buffed before. It's a bonus round.
It doesn't matter what you do to the Judge. It's always going to be good.
Yeah. You put it in the right angle, the right position. Automatic
you can put
shotgun.
it down to 1 damage per, shot, and somebody will still figure out how to make it good.
I'd be impressed. I think maybe that could kill the Judge. Maybe.
Oh. That's to be determined. We'll leave it at that. Agree to disagree.
It's big ultimate, though. Run
is.
it back. Always available.
How do you use it on the defense, though?
I think there's 2 main ways I would approach it, right? Early aggressive play, right? You would think Wizard in showers from last half.
Yeah.
Or just wait, play it on the retake.
Fantastic point. Proceed now on the hunt. The Judge. And the disengage from Seikyo, actually. That is perfect.
You can only run away from the Judge.
Case now with the distance, the Phantom in hands. Plenty of damage to be done. Finally traded out, but it's a 2-for-1 trade, and now Utica getting this spike down in a 4v3. You have to deal with this run it back, and Nami going to be able to put it to the best of use. Flash back out. Hanzo barely left alive. Hilton's going to be able to finish that one off, and you know exactly where the last member is. Pristine Sheriff in hands, and a Judge in the back pocket. 6 HP, a dream to win it out, and everything on lock, everything on watch for SNHU.
Anchor just has to find that kill against Nami. He can't be allowed to just run through the smoke and then, while still running, get the headshot. I mean, it's a slim margin for error, but Utica making that error, and he still gets Henzo as well. Nami has to be stopped in that moment, and that's where I think the tide truly turns in the SNHU favor. But it was a bonus. At least for Utica, things not all lost, and forcing out a big ultimate like the run it back is absolutely something to keep in mind. Nami no longer having that on a round like this one, where the bigger guns do prevail.
Going up.
Let's have some fun here. This time,
ambitious.
though, the firing squad is ready, and that is not going to happen. Annihilator through the teleporter, and everybody is running away from Frank, rightfully so.
Yeah, Frank, I actually think that's a really good idea. The Annihilation actually covering off their own teleport potentially as well. Obviously, the audio cue just a little bit different. Oh, they're all stunned. Shooting gallery, but Hilton could only deliver one.
And Neural Theft now going to feed some information over towards Utica on where this retake is coming from, and they know where to look at, though. Anchor can't deal with it. Too much pressure. Henzo to re-aggress. Has to be careful because Case is right there, ready on the flank. Pristine now in a 2 versus 3. Now 2 versus 2. Just below the window. All the attention here onto the Rays, but Seikyo is not going to be fooled at all. 1v2 now for Pristine to try to find a 7th round. Up top is Seikyo, and Frank's going to close it out.
That is massive, and that's the utility coming back once again. Everyone's stunned by the sonic sensor. Massive plays, and Frank delivering in the 1v1 as well. Telling you, this deadlock, I'm coming around. I did call it crazy, but I'm not too crazy not to say when I was wrong.
I was crazy once.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Utica, showstopper for Pristine, who's unfortunately not quite put up the same level, not in the same numbers we saw back on map 1, but that, I don't know, it was ever an expectation. We never thought that Pristine would be able to continue that.
Utica needs something to go their way soon. SNHU look fantastic on their map choice. Frank tucked away. Showstopper looking to at least weed out this last player, and that's exactly what's going to happen, though. Hilton not too far away from the regression, back in with the help of Nami. They're piecing them apart.
At least they're going to get something done. We'll get out onto the A site. Anchor's in position to win this round.
Top Hunter's Fury denied, swings out. Anchor only good for the one. The plant wasn't able to come through because of that Hunter's Fury. So finally it's going to go down into the ground. Case not going to fall just yet. Nami around the corner, full blind on either side, and Jadal's able to recover. But in a 1v2, can he get it done? Jadal swings out, but Nami, what a shot!
He almost did it. Jadal had the opportunity. Instead, Nami really delivering. We've asked and asked and asked from Nami. And here he is. Doing it again. 11 rounds to SNHU. With Nami leading the charge. He's got Frank by his side. And, I mean, we did ask. You know, if Frank continues where he left off over at Split, and Nami steps up, doubling what he did on that map. Here we are. SNHU at 11-6.
Here we are. I mean, I'm feeling like an icebox. You feeling like an icebox?
It's getting chilly already.
Are you a fan of the cold?
I would rather be cold than hot.
I am the opposite. I'd rather be hot than cold.
See, but we've talked about this.
I live in a cold place. You live in a hot place. Yes, we know. Oh, it's just what we have to deal with at times.
Yeah.
We'd like to change, but change is what we see for SNHU, not for us. And this change has been so good. Not only to cast, but to kind of analyze at this one. They look so confident and so put together, and Frank has really been excelling on this deadlock, switching off of what was a really good Omen pick. I was kind of afraid of that, but here we are.
Yeah, I think the biggest worry for Frank is, can you continue to deliver at the rate at which he was on Omen on a deadlock? And that's been very much yes, the answer.
And answered so often. SNHU kind of picking up the slack from Frank moving off of this one. His Omen, not too shabby either. The paranoia is going to actually be met by a Trailblazer. Both just trying to live, and Anchor's the one to find the opening kill. Hilton now traded. The Guardian of Wizard breaks through. Nami, inside showers, Viper Spit activated. SNHU denies the plants, and Nami just needs to hold their life.
Planted.
Staying alive, the important part for now, and I like this. Nami just disengaged. Don't worry about the Viper's Pit. There you go.
Hello, goodbye. 1v2. Nami knows exactly where Jadal is, and he can block it off. I like this call. Group up, look for clues, get this spike to Haft. Jadal needs to go big, and he doesn't know if he's sticking or not, which he is. Frank holding on tight. The defuse comes through, and Frank gets the kill. Ridiculous.
SNHU, they just cannot fail when it comes to these clutches. Look at the defuses. Every round, the last 4, the spike's gone down. And yet, SNHU continue to come out on top. Utica, they can indeed be stopped, and it is SNHU to do the stopping. Wizard still leading the charge. And a 12-6 scoreline. SNHU back on split. They needed 7 in a row. Now Utica needs 6. Similar situation.
Possibly a similar outcome. Annihilation, bounce off the wall, and come to me, Jadal. I got a surprise. It's death.
You're dead, son.
Here comes Henzo, caught inside of the dark cover. Hilton's going to be able to clip that head, just peeking through the smoke. SNHU has reclaimed some space on the outside of Hookah, so Wizard in a little bit of a predicament, trapped between both sides. But I don't think SNHU actually knew that.
Yeah, didn't seem to have the information.
Look at Nami.
Now Utica, you got a chance.
How do you read this? There's just no way. Spike is down. Everybody has to chase after it. And SNHU, 4th round win. They just need to deny the plant. 42 seconds. Nami, flash at the ready. both members here. Swings out, and that's the information needed to start this pinch out. Everybody set up. The recon dart is in. Toxic Orb. Will it be enough to push on through? Pristine in the contact, though. Nami just a little better inside of Bind. One last standing. An anchor in the way of Icebox. We're on our way to map 3.
It is indeed getting chilly, I guess, as we leave the desert. SNHU, a very different game plan and a very successful one at that. We asked the question, I mean, we said, is this for real? Are we really seeing, are we going back in time with regard to this Phoenix? It's always been okay, but is it going to be good enough? And yes is the answer. They did deliver. But I think the deadlock is actually the conversation point going into this next map. What an incredible performance Frank just put on. And having massive value both when it came to the deadlock and the utility that came with it, but also individually. Right? Continued up to the same level that we saw back on the Open.
I think it's a little bit of both. Nami's attacking side with this Phoenix really kind of left Utica breathless at times. They just couldn't catch up. They couldn't keep up inside of a lot of those rounds. And by the time that spike was planted and they were looking at a retake, it was, what, a 2v4 at times? Sometimes even a 3v5. It just was out of the realm of possibility for Utica so often on binds. And then you add that deadlock into the mix, and when you have to retake into Frank, who's not only missing, but playing a character who just slows you down in general, makes you question where to walk, where to go, and how to really maneuver through the map. It's a recipe to success that not a lot of teams can put together, and even when they do put it together, that they just not all the time can execute on properly. But SNHU, a team who in the past has been a champion in the ECC, a lot like Utica in recency, they both know how to win. And here inside of Bind, we got to see the best of SNHU. So heading into Icebox to determine who's going to win out inside of the playoff Group A, or inside of the regular season for Group A, head into the playoffs as the #1 seed. It all comes down to one last map, Vincent. I'm excited to see it as well. So Icebox on the other side of this break, folks. We'll see you soon.
I know exactly. Spike down mid. Spike planted. Finished. I know exactly. Seconds left. One enemy remaining. Enemy remaining. 30 seconds left. Spike down B. One enemy remaining. Last player standing. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Spike down A. Captain killed. Enemy remaining.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ECC week number 5, the last day of regular season and the last map on stream. We got SNHU coming back on Bind with a very dominant win on their own map after losing a split 13-5. They take us to Icebox, where it's all going to end. Vincent, winner here takes the #1 seed heading into playoffs for their group, and it is definitely going to be something that you want, especially considering how good the competition is over in Group B as well.
Yeah, I think that considering what is on the line, there's two things that really kind of come to the forefront for this final map. Number one, when it came to Bind, SNHU, they couldn't lose in the clutch consistently. Whether it was like a 2-on-2 or they had a man disadvantage, it didn't seem to matter. They brought it back, and then in the 1v1s, they delivered there as well. All of that was phenomenal. And then in addition to that, Frank, Nami, we talked about it consistently. They continued in the form of Frank and then stepped up in the form of Nami. But as we head to Icebox, I think there's one other thing to talk about, and that's two, at least from what we've seen, varying ideas of how to play this map when it comes to the agent selection. And I think that's going to be really interesting because on the one hand, SNHU, they've played the double duelist, and they're down to get up in your face, right? On the other side of things, we got a Harbor Viper comp that is all about denying your information.
And let me tell you, I'm the biggest fan of Harbor Viper on Icebox. I was a big fan on Pearl. I'm a big fan on Icebox as well. When it comes to denying information on a map where, you know, information is key with how big these sites are, with how hard it is really to kind of walk on site and get that spike down and really deny the defenders any space, having two walls that can literally block off the other team, it helps. So heading into the agent select, let's see if we get it. And we do. Case is going to lock in the Viper, Seikuo on Harbor, but that's SNHU, not Utica, going to bring that out.
This is wild. We're almost seeing like a little flip-flop here. Utica is playing...
no. They're playing their comp.
Yeah.
And they're playing their comp.
That way.
Wait. Yeah. I'm so turned around.
Yeah, so just to explain to everybody why we're a little confused, Utica, in the past, they've elected to go with the Harbor and the Viper. That's what I was referring to. And it's not that we flipped it around. That is what they played previously. And it was SNHU that actually played Reyna Jet. Now, we're not going to see the Reyna Jet, but Pristine onto the Reyna. Really interesting decision. This has been wild. This has been a wild turn of events.
Now, as I kind of defer from just actually saying they're, you know, Utica is playing SNHU's comp for Icebox, they're not doing the double duelist. They're kind of steering away from the jet that we normally see on Icebox that can take, you know, the verticality very quickly and just opting in for the Reyna instead, which is a big gamble when all things considered. When you look at Reyna, and as a commentator, I think we kind of harp on this quite a bit. If you're not finding kills with the Reyna, you're not finding value with the Reyna. And Pristine's, you know, love Pristine back on Split, but in Bind, it just wasn't really the case. Finding kills when Pristine on Bind just wasn't really there. So I think it's a little bit of pressure that it may make or break this Utica team.
Yeah, and there's also a bit of a swap up as well when it comes to the roles. Last time we saw Hinto on the Killjoy, and this time it's Wizard who's gone over to the Killjoy. Hinza is going to stick back with the Omen. Something we saw him play very well on. It's something we know he can perform on, but a difference none the same.
Heading into the pistol rounds. So far for stats. Oh no, Pristine's trapped.
Yeah.
In the barrier, and now the craft net. Everybody hit the deck. Hilton's coming.
Bomb grenade out.
I mean, I was sort of expecting something like a deadlock here, but the fact that it's Hilton on it, not Frank, it's crazy.
Yeah. Another change in roles, might I add, for this SNHU team. We talked about the flexibility, United, in the green room about, you know, Utica's flexing for agents. And SNHU are just kind of doing one better here. And
styling.
For the pistol rounds, I mean, back on Bind, they went 1 for 1. Here on Icebox, they're looking to find what is their second pistol round of the series.
And with that, I mean, stepping in and finding such big value as well as the barrier mesh in the beginning of this round, immediately shutting down. And it's kind of interesting, right? You typically see the Viper pop out the toxic orb in that position in mid, and I think that that's what Utica expected. The fact that the barrier mesh comes in entirely throws them off. They're like, oh, how do we do this? Because
it's not only that too. I mean, they literally caught Pristine like he's a Pokemon, or depending on what fan base you're in, a pal.
Yeah, he tried to fight his way out, but he couldn't escape.
And like, what do you do if you're Pristine? You just kind of have to accept it. Like, okay, I'm gonna take this fight. I either live or I die, and it's gonna be the latter of that one. And Pristine also gonna get first blooded in this round as well. Nami from the skies drops down his jet. Nice shots on the anchor. Frank now just continuing to press on for SNHU. They are just dealing with everything thrown at them.
Utica on an eco round, sure, but round they have no business in at the moment. Wizards the only one left, and hey, that's something. He's picked up some free shots off the classic.
Funny enough, the barrier mesh actually didn't extend fully, so Wizard could have walked in on that. But now gonna have to walk through the full crossfire that is Hilton up top and Case sitting on site, so not easy to do so against Phantoms when you just have a classic.
And let's focus in a little bit. Why is the Reyna such a risk? You kind of went into it a little bit, talking about how if you're on the Reyna and you're not really getting those aggressive kills, or just those kills in general, you're not getting value. Why is that the case? Well, what makes that Jet get the value regardless of whether you're getting those aggressive kills? It's the fact that if you're the Jet, you could be dashing forward, using your cloud smokes to deny an area from the rest of the squad, and then your team can follow up on that. You're making space regardless. In the Reyna's case, well, you're throwing a Leer out and taking a fight. If you die, well, you're dead. I know, obvious.
If you live, you get to either dismiss out or overheal. And yeah, that's great, but first you got to get the kill. And at that, then you have to get out from that situation. And for the Jet, you just don't need to have that risk. You can kind of feel a little bit safer in your approach to a lot of these sites. And Nami, ever since getting battered and bruised on Split, has been driving this duelist battle.
Yeah, and I actually want to shout out Pristine for a second. Don't even think Pristine played particularly bad on Bind. Not really.
No.
Certainly wasn't the huge, crazy it factor that we saw in Split, but didn't play a bad Bind. It was just how much more SNHU were doing.
I was going to say, it's just the level that we did see for SNHU exceeds that of what Pristine was putting on the board there, and it reflected in the scoreline here in this the round, though, for round number 3. Getting back to the action.
30 seconds left.
SNHU just getting their wins clipped a little bit. Kind of getting humbled in this round. Every single time they step up, they die. Frank finally trades out, but it's a 1 versus 4.
Standing ahead.
And he has the spike, so will be able to get the plants, but after that, he'll have to deal with this retake.
I mean, plant something. Hunter Fury, not that I think he's going to get a chance to use it. Maybe he can.
No way. Say it isn't so. 1v2. All the way up top. Won't be able to recover off the ropes. Almost a chance there. At a 1v1. You take down Wizard. The rotation coming out from Henzo wouldn't get there in time. Or from Jadal.
I just want to say, if Frank had just taken a moment and actually not run and gunned right there, he might have been able to pull that back. But SNHU have gotten away with that so many times this series. Like, an absurd number of times where they're just on the run and find the kill. We saw it before in a previous round here, where it was Nami just dropping from the rope, like, just getting a headshot. Crazy.
Right here. Take flight.
Well, Utica going to put their first on the board. Deny that third round conversion, the bonus from SNHU. And now on their defense, going to have to deal with this, pressure that's put on from this double controller. The Viper wall goes up, and the Harper's just pushing you back nonstop. There's no room to breathe if you're SNH or if you're Utica. So Nami now looking to kind of double up on all of that pressure. Time to the other side of the smoke. Unfortunately for him, Anchor in the right place, right time. Easy shot there to confirm the kill, and now looking to do a little bit more alongside Pristine for the retake. Time dwindling away. Numbers here, and it's going to get better. Seikyo's gone down 4 versus 2. Pioneers just continuing to trek forward. Caught in the spray. Henzo traded out the Annihilator ready, and I don't know if it hit. It did. It did hit. But it's all down to Hilton now. 1 versus 1. Swinging around. No Wizard's going to be here. Anchor holding down the spike. Has to go for the fight. Is there time?
Oh, it's close.
It'll be there. I think there's just a little bit. Just enough time.
Ooh. Certainly cutting it close. 1 second on the clock remaining there. And a little bit of a mistake from Utica in the back end of that round. Instead of committing to that fight together, Wizard gets overzealous, swings ahead of time, and puts Anchor in a really difficult spot where the pressure's on in the 1v1. But Anchor, he has been the most consistent player thus far. Yeah, 2-round wins, but Anchor pretty much the it factor in both of those for Utica. As they tie the score line back up, it's Hero Rifle Plus, or not so much the Hero Rifle, just Sheriffs. And some weaponry alongside those. We're going to see the aggression this time from the Reyna. Meantime, Utica, they're on the wrong side again. The plan is for Wizard to hold B, but they have just Wizard there, finally getting some rotations in.
One grenade, hopefully going to deny this plan a little longer. Nami has snuck through, and to his pleasure, almost a second one. That kill onto Wizard would have been everything in the round, but Wizard now able to play their life and 1 away from this lockdown.
Hunter's Fury for SNHU. Frank's all the way in the back, and there's nobody on the flank, so he can get that off for free once they touch the spike.
Enzo takes the high ground away from Seikyo, and now numbers for Utica, but low HP on Wizard is going to make this difficult for the Killjoy to really feel involved in this fight. They're still going to trek forward. Paranoia, Hilton gets caught by it, and the rotations around. At distance, the Phantoms just might be enough, but Hilton has pivoted around, and Hilton gets 2 with the Sheriff, keeping the team in it. Hunter's Fury dwindling the time for Enzo. He's got to get out of there.
They've done it. I mean, SNHU, they won't worry about the lack of a gun for Case Enzo. At least he does escape. But that was an eco around SNHU they shouldn't have been having. At least not if things had gone to plan for Utica. And it all does start with a pretty crazy position that Nami gets himself into, right? Just free shots. Almost finds another one onto Wizard, but as I mentioned, late Hunter's Fury, without the flank coming in, always a struggle. Utica find out the hard way as they come into this gun round 4 ult strong.
I'd like to see them use it earlier than not. Saw SNHU kind of take advantage of their ults back on Bind, and just kept on using them and using them. But Nami here on the attack, looking to jump on in. The Annihilator from Henzo is getting drawn back in, and Nami, with not having to worry about Henzo, walks forward and takes 2.
Oh. And Hilton gets away with another one. Bringing him in. Utica, honestly, they're here, but they're just here for decoration. Not to decorate the walls, more like.
I mean, Nami is swinging corners and flicking to every angle he can think of.
Is he pre-firing angles that don't exist?
I mean, he's pre-firing literally just angles. I don't know at this point. You just see him flicking, shooting at whatever it is. I feel like in his head, he can picture aim labs, but what we're watching is just an empty screen.
He's got the Kovacs overlaid. Utica, I mentioned that last round being a gun round. I was lying, actually. He sold back. And so, lacking a little bit, but Pristine has the op. Haven't really seen the op be big, but Pristine is making it so.
An op on Icebox. When did we see this? With the chamber meta last, realistically, in that same exact spot. But with the Reyna, you kind of get the same style of that, where you can dismiss out instead of rendezvous out. Reckoning's gonna at least try to push forward now for the side of SNHU, see if he can get the spike planted, but look at Henzo, he's gonna hit them from the shadows, try to deny this, and exactly that, the Stinger finds one, and it's enough to slow this down.
That was on target for Pristine, but the Cove in the way. Speaking of slow it down, SNHU, they're stalled out.
Yeah.
Stuck. Spike rotating out, but Hilton is absolutely still going to be stuck here. No way he gets out for free.
Hop Creek without a paddle, but you try to paddle his way out with his hands, maybe. Doggy paddle away.
He did it.
Yeah, Case is already on A, so all the attention on Hilton has allowed a spike plant. This is still doable in a 2v3.
It's doing the backstroke.
Yeah. And Hilton, I mean, that's enough. I mean, that is Michael Phelps swimming right there. Only success.
Speedy quick. Lockdown is here. This is late to pull in the lockdown, but it's not too late.
As nobody's here, Hilton.
Oh, Hilton's gambling hard.
Oh, I mean, 5 seconds. Are you sure?
Yeah, he's thought better of it.
Case is
better
exactly
decision.
where you need to be to stop this plant, and now teasing it. Actually, Wizard doesn't have to worry about that. The snake bite doesn't land. It's all down to Hilton on the flank. Has to make some noise. Wizard holding the defuse, and it's going to go through.
Oh. Really huge sigh of relief from Utica. They really loved that. Towards the end, the lockdown was the savior. And, I mean, I'm just a broken record at this point, Seymour. Wizards done it again. 3 rounds, 1. And Wizard having some big impact, stepping up with Anchor. It's not necessarily who we've been talking about, but shout out Pristine as well, who picked up the opening frag in that last round. You had actually made a point of talking about it, right? First Bloods and how much they matter, especially for some of these collegiate teams. Pristine delivering it big.
Yeah. Translate in the round win, but again, it kind of goes down to, like, Bind was ruling. Utica were scraping by some of these rounds, keeping it close, and then we swapped halves, and then things didn't seem that way. You just couldn't scrape away anymore. And on Icebox, yes, this is nice. You're only down by 1, but you still need to see some players come alive in this map 3 for Utica.
It's good, though, that Utica are being this competitive where Pristine hasn't quite come to the forefront yet.
Yeah. Anchor doesn't know that there's 4 people surrounding his ultimate.
He is... oh, man. In trouble if they all swing at once.
Oh, yeah. Or if Anchor swings here, the timing might be right. Just trapped to this one. Jado's going to go down, and so does Wizard. So instead, SNHU, they choose to work around the Viper's Pit. And as soon as the Anchor chooses to aggress, Seikuo waiting for it.
30 seconds left.
Patience. One of the best things to be good at when it comes to the game of Valorant, and SNHU delivering. It's Pristine. Getting shot in the back of the head.
Pristine able to find 1, but it's a consolation kill at that point.
Everyone getting on the board for SNHU for that, too. Team Ace across the entirety of the squad. These last 2 maps, Utica have really struggled to just have an economy at all. They just can't continue buying.
And they just force buy after force buy.
Even
and
when
hope
they
eventually
don't.
it's going to work.
Well, even when they don't, you know, it's unfortunate because Utica's eco rounds, there's been some close ones. They've never been able to pull it across the line.
Even when they do win rounds, it's 1 or 2 members last alive. It's nothing to write home about. If you're Utica, too close for comfort. Nami with the Blaze Storm out. Wall goes down, and Nami kind of caught out in the open. Henzo will land a shot with the classic. That's spiked down. And now Nami has to go collect that with 22 HP. Wings get clipped.
And through the cloudburst as well. Enzo's still up here. And I don't know that SNHU know that.
Pristine is just continuing to collect with the Sheriff. And so far, this Thrifty round, SNHU haven't been able to get anything going.
I don't even know where Pristine is finding these angles. That's a massive round for Pristine, and we've been missing that.
I don't even know when the round starts.
Well, I know what it ends. When all of SNHU are dead on the ground. Another Annihilation available. It's actually, it's crazy. Again, I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's been very successful. Hilton's taking the right moments to get that ultimate into the right positions where it's hard to counter out.
Frank was doing that as well back on Bind, so having 2 members who are proficient with Deadlock, that's scary.
It is. Haven't seen a lot of that, and I'm really enjoying seeing it now. This B site, though, there's a consistency to it for SNHU. They take this space every single round.
Oh, but Pristine gets in and out, finds two. Insane reactions coming out from the Reyna. Moments that you need to see from Pristine, and opportunities that Utica looking to seize. Spike getting planted. Wizard in a little bit of trouble if they choose to jump on through, and Nami's gonna get the trade and get out.
Jadel needed to find that trade frag. Does. A little late to the party, but the flank incoming. Get around the corner. SNHU, they're in trouble.
Nami had an angle, but just not able to hit that shot. Frank down to 5 HP. Spam through the smoke. And Utica are able to tie us up. 5 apiece. Another retake on Icebox, successful for the Pioneers as they're starting to kind of piece together this puzzle. And, you know, since talking about it, Pristine goes from what was 2-7 to 8-9. A welcomed resurgence for the Duelists of Utica.
Yeah. I mean, 5 kills in the last 2 rounds. If we were playing a game of Guess Who, you know I'd be on Pristine. SNHU finding themselves on the back foot for the first time, really, since we saw Split. I mean, and when I say back foot, mostly they're just kind of broke right now. They lose another round. The final of the half will be a tough one. Utica, the last map and this one, they haven't put together more than 2 rounds in a row.
Enzo fighting a little more than he could chew here, but the 100 Sphere from Jaden looking to disrupt his attack of the Reckoning, and Jadel somehow gets 2 with the ultimate. In the midst of things, Pristine is finding a third into the mix and able to dismiss to safety. Case gets beheaded, and now it's all down to Nami, who's brought this from a 1v4 to a 1v2, but without any information on where Anchor is, you don't know where to expect the attack, and it's an AG shot there from Anchor, just barely threading the needle on that headshot.
And a bunch of ultimate utility that Utica hadn't really found a good timing to utilize, hadn't been able to pull out effectively. Finally coming to the forefront to break that streak and pick up the 3rd round in a row to not only find an equalizer, but then the lead as well. 6-5. Utica, it's been a while. All the way back on Split, in fact.
Here we go for the first time for this lead. Let's see if Utica can expand off this, or SNHU. They end the half even at 6 apiece. Can literally go either way at this point. I'm done making predictions, Vincent. I am not the prophet that they seek. Instead, I'm just the one to tell their story. Viper Spit's going down, and things are looking to get mixy. Jadel's going to catch Nami up top and tracking on forward with the help of Wizard. They both get 3. SNHU gets shut out and shut down in the round. 7 for Utica at the end of the half.
There we go. Utica finally finding their success, and it's off the back of, I mean, we talked about it. Pristine, he is the guy to usually lead the charge, but a team effort all the same. Look at everybody. Look at how close that is. 8 frags for Wizard and Hinzo, 7 for Anchor and Jadel. Everybody had a round where they were the round-winning force.
Just looking at that history is incredible for Utica. Just you think back to rounds 3 and 4, maybe even, you know, round 7. It is small moments coming down to even 1v2s, 1v1s at times that they just barely sneak away with. And now they're leading by 2 on the attacking side of Icebox.
Nami really wanted to get that one started strong, but hit off a little bit too much. I don't know that Utica are going to expect another player here.
They don't.
I guess it doesn't matter.
They do at some point. As soon as Hilton swings around, the Classic's only good to bring down Anchor to 10 HP. It's really Frank you're looking at to hopefully seal the deal for this round, but a Lake lurk through mid, and really if Utica want, they don't need to commit to B.
Well, they're about to be out of players to commit with.
And
Frank has gotten a dink off on everybody.
3 HP, Jadel playing his cards right, playing with the time. 2 HP for Jadel, 2 HP for Wizard.
Everybody was 1 health. A singular shot. SNHU, the swiftness of their rotation there, just, I think, catching Utica off to a certain extent. I mean, they thought they had the site, I think, 3 times. Still ultimately come away with the victory is what's important, not necessarily how you get there. As we split pistol rounds once more.
It's gonna locate Nami for the second. Looking for the one shot with the Sheriff. Nothing's gonna be found. Quick approach over towards A now. A little bit of a pivot from the rest of Utica.
Notice Nami's consistent aggression thus far in the second half as well. That's something to look out for. Really worked for them when it came to the first. Nami was getting the better of Utica for the majority of that half. Till the very last few moments.
Oh, across the ropes. Pristine's looking to make a play. SNHU found out and shut out. As of opening, now the overheal looking to keep Pristine topped off. Jado's going to double down with him. Nami answers back, but again, so much work to be done. Nami gets a second one. Spike is planted. 3v2 for the retake, and both members stuck in the back of the site. Outside of the site. And Hilton just not able to hit a shot with that Sheriff. 14 for Case, and Anchor's going to wipe that under the carpet. Utica's lead now up 9-5.
From down 5-3, now up 9-5. Utica on a streak of 6 at the moment. This bonus isn't going to be great, though. They've got 2 SMGs, 2 Sheriffs, and the 1 rifle of Pristine that they were able to keep in the back pocket. JDL is actually awful close to the Hunter's Fury, though. They can farm up in this round. Even if they lose it, they'll be in position to continue far forward. Speaking of, Nami, here he goes again. The early shot doesn't work, and so he's going to fall away. He had support, and that's the difference. SNHU putting a lot behind Nami there just in case he needed to have backup.
Looking to force some pressure as Nami, rightfully so, Utica on the brink of double digits now from being down 5-4 at one point. They could get a rotation over towards B as well, but Case has already snuck up a lot of information, so this stack on A, they're going to sit. They're going to wait.
Oh, but the big move would be to go through mid. Find some space, and Frank knows that. That's why that Hunter's Fury, the Owl drone heading that direction. And the recon bolt.
A little less costly than Hunter's Fury, but that shock dart, a little bit of chip damage onto Wizard. They're working their way into 2. Pristine with the new window. Hello, he waves past Frank while walking on by to the site. And now, if anybody's going to have to make a play, it's going to be Case. Can he get the better of Anchor? Does he even expect it here? Back is turned, and the timing is so bad.
Case is just molding at the moment. That's brutal. Should have been his, but instead, he was found. And Wizard is in such a great spot. He's hearing them all stomp around.
Yeah, and Henzo's going to hit them with the paranoia. Wizard's going to swing on out. Now for the re-clear shot, just not able to land on the SNHU. 4 versus 3, still with numbers. Utica looking for this double digits, looking for the 10 mark. Here on Icebox, the craft deck keeps Henzo to the ground, but still enough with the Spectre to spray down Hilton. All of the SNHU and Pristine has stepped all the way up.
That was all Pristine, all the way. Case had the opportunity, the possibility to stop that from happening, to save SNHU, to get their first round of the second half, but no, timing was not at all on his side. Turned away, and, well, that's not the delivery I'm looking for when I roll up to the window at McDonald's, that's for sure.
That would be crazy, by the way. I'm going to leave it at that.
Pristine and a Vandal?
I'm going to leave it at that. That would be crazy. Deadlock immediately going to use the barrier mesh to block off mid, so it's going to take a little bit of effort for Utica to walk on through that. Case has to escape off the Owl drone. The information just backing up SNHU.
SNHU know, though, that trying to hang on to this site, it's just death incarnate. There's no way. In case overzealous swinging that there really was looking for info and trying to get away, couldn't do so.
Now with the Viper, not allowed space to work your way back onto the site. It has to be down to the fights, and with the Sheriffs in hand, some crazy shots are needed, and Frank, he delivers. Caught in the graph net, Nami able to spray down Henzo with that Blade Storm. Anchor, though, still keeping Utica in fighting chance. Low HP on Anchor, and Nami's doing it all!
He caught him! The kunai to the head! On the cross of all things! There it is. We talked about Pristine and how incredible he's been the second half and really the last 4 of the first as well. Stepped up big time for the squad. And now it's Nami joining the fray. Hilton and Frank have been the mainstays for SNHU on Icebox. We're seeing more. Speaking of Frank, how does he get those 2 kills on the Sheriff? I don't know what info he was working with, but he does it anyway.
It's all reaction for Frank. I mean, we start off this series with a Frank masterclass, and now heading into the late portions of Icebox, Frank still wide awake. Empress. Called in extremely early from this one, and already SNHU, they're playing for the retake.
Yeah, I mean, no reason to try and fight that Empress on its own. You have the Annihilation, you have a Hunter's Fury. There's a lot to work with, trying to deny the plant, but wrong position. They'll get the plant off. Some damage done, and more than that.
A catch.
Frank says goodbye.
Hook, line, and sinker. Henzo, though, the fish fight back. Swings out in an immediate 2-piece. The Annihilator's going to keep this equal, but Pristine, a trade. Case goes down 3v2. The Annihilator's going to get the better of Henzo, and Hilton still going to continue on. A second onto Pristine. Now dealing with the post-plant. Hunter's Fury for Utica, as well as the lineups for the Snakebite.
Oh, it's over.
Time is just so low. This seems impossible, Vincent. How do you beat it? You just don't.
You lose. They put it all in there as well. But the Hunter's Fury down, it wasn't necessary. They didn't even touch the spike when the Hunter's Fury gets procced. But I want to note, by the way, Seymour, they had the recon bolt for inside of that toxic orb. They were gonna know if they were on the spike, beyond a shadow of a doubt. Utica got 11, and looks like they might have even more than that. Look at the busted up buy for SNHU. New Hampshire in trouble at the moment.
They got no cash. And at this point, why not try? You just won a thrifty round. Maybe you can do it again. Without Seikyo, though, the odds get really low.
Utica are sending it straight out on the A site. There's still somebody back site.
Frank's the one with the rifle, though. So, not having to deal with that is going to make this a little bit better for Pristine. Oh, barely escaping with his life. Case is spotted by the Owl drone. Nami, Guardian in hand, fighting as best as possible with this lesser gun. Jadal, nice spray down onto Case. The numbers just continue to get thinned out for SNHU. Anchor's going to catch Hilton walking through the smoke, and it's all down to Nami. Guardian, 1v2. Wizard up top, all the attention. And Jadal able to put the knife in the back. Utica, 12-6, match point.
A second half, Utica only dropped a single round in for the moment. Good news for SNHU. You were saying maybe go for the force buy. Man, it might have been the right play. Regardless, without it, they now have a full buy onto this upcoming round. Could be the final round. And for the last 2, Utica have just ran at them today. They'll swap it up. Instead of A, they're heading B, where Case is so low at the moment. Lead the charge, the Owl drone. And nothing found.
Still tucked between his legs. He's already looking at the retake. Lockdown is going to force now SNHU back. Give a little bit of space to work this if you're Utica. And they have time. They have so much time.
You can just hang out, have a good one.
Oh.
I mean, there's a grab net. It's fine. There's no problem.
Reckoning,
Reckoning
now for the
might be.
retake. Spike just gets planted, and Frank, shock dart exactly where you need to place it. At Jano's doorstep, Pristine dancing around the Reckoning. The dismiss, Cove down the spray. Pristine hits 2, and Henzo on the flank. From the shadows, he emerges. A 13-6 Utica. They take the win tonight, and they take the #1 seed.
An absurd game of Valorant, a series of Valorant. I felt like we just watched the same game twice, by the way. Bind and Icebox were actually the same, just flip the names. That's really what it came down to, and what a comeback story as well for Pristine. From the heights of Map 1 over on Split, to the lows of Bind, over to the comeback trail when it came to Icebox. We had it all tonight, Seymour.
Look, I am forever going to be a doubter of Arena whenever I see it on a competitive team, a collegiate team, a ranked team, a VCT team. It doesn't matter. I'm a Arena doubter, but Pristine.
Right.
I'm never going to doubt Pristine ever again. After tonight, I mean, as a duelist, Pristine has earned all rights to be named probably one of the best here in the esports or the East Coast Conference.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And I think beyond that, we have to just hand it over to a team effort as well. Like, the fact is, Pristine was a little quiet early, and the rest of the squad really kept them in it. Pristine then turned up towards the end, and the back half of that game,
oh yeah,
it wasn't just the Pristine show, though that was a great show to be sure.
I was tuning in.
Yeah, I was there. I turned that dial, but everybody else kind of jumped in, and like I kind of said, everybody kind of had a round where they were the big moment of the round. Henzo as well. What a closer from him.
Yeah, what a closer for sure. It doesn't seem like we're going to have an interview, Vincent, for the end of this game, but I'm sure Utica are going to be cheering, carrying on, and celebrating after a win like that, all the way to a map #3. And coming into this one, Utica, the only team out of these two who lost a map previously was Lotus, losing to Malloy back all the way in week #1. Week #1, that was 4 weeks ago. Utica, they look polished. They look like they've been working through everything and only getting better ever since that week 1 matchup it came to be. So it's showing up versus SNHU and taking them down in 3, especially how, I guess, dominant map 1 was and how successful the back half of Icebox was. That is a very strong win for them.
Yeah, heading in towards the playoffs, you have to. I mean, at the start of this, we talked about their position and, having the experience winning previously, in the fall. They were already coming in as the favorites, but now they've solidified that, really locked it in, serving up SNHU their first 2 map losses and their first series loss as well. That's got to feel good, especially given the history that SNHU has.
Yeah, it has got to feel good if you're Utica. Both teams come into today undefeated, Vincent. One team undefeated without any maps lost. And, at the end of today, we knew that one was going to have to check off a little tally on that loss marker. And for SNHU, I'm sure they're going to be heading into the playoffs now, looking to make improvements, looking to make some changes. But, as we kind of close off from this broadcast, any finishing thoughts on the matchup that we saw? Anything do you kind of note on heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just look out for Nami specifically. I mean, on SNHU, I feel like we didn't exactly get the best from him today, and that's a terrifying thought, but Pristine has to hold the candle to them, and did over the course of this series. It was phenomenal to see.
I'm sure he's going to be holding that crown today, tomorrow, and for the rest of this season. Playoffs is going to be a fun time. A break next week, but then we'll be back into the playoffs the week after. And for tomorrow, the CECC Service Academy qualifier starts at 6 p.m. Eastern, so watch out for that here at Esports U. It's going to be a fun time, so tune in and watch and cheer on your favorite teams that are going to be playing. But for tonight, Vincent, it was a pleasure casting with you. It was a pleasure watching over SNHU as well as Utica. I can't wait to see the playoffs here for ECC. So for now, have a great night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time for some more Collegiate Valorant.
killed.